Hi, and welcome to the Merryweather Knitting Podcast. My name is Gabriella, and I'm coming to you from my home in Germany, where I live with my husband and our daughter and our little cat, and it's been forever since I've gotten to say that. If you're a new viewer, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, you'll know that I've been away for, it's been over a month now. I spent about a month in the States, and I got home about 2 weeks ago, a little bit less than 2 weeks ago, but it takes a while to get resettled, and especially in the current times, it takes, a little bit extra. So we are finished with our quarantine time. We're back into our daily routine at home, living life here in Germany. It was such an amazing trip in the States, and it was so nice to have Esmeralda, my daughter, meet her grandmother, her family, her great-grandparents, and all her family in the States. It was really, really a special trip. And it was an amazing thing because I've never flown with a baby before, and it was a really, really relaxed flight there and back. She was so well behaved, not like it's, her behavior, but she was just so relaxed and she loved it. She was so excited when the plane took off and when it landed. And yeah, it was a really an amazing trip, an amazing transit and everything. So I had a wonderful time, but I missed this. I missed podcasting and I missed you. So I hope you've had a good few weeks. I'd love to hear what you've been up to in the past month or so, what you've been making and knitting and inspired by. I hope you enjoyed it if you watched it, my little update from the States with my little interview of my cousin Scarlett and my sister Chloe, who are both so sweet, and I was so touched that they wanted to be a part of the podcast. It was really, really special to be able to chat with them about crafting and crocheting and knitting and all those kinds of things. I hope that next time I go back, we'll be able to do a little reprise of that and see what they've made or what other things they've created in that time. But yeah, I'm really, really, really special. So this week I have some things to show you. While I was away, I didn't do a ton of knitting. I finished my little vest slipover project, which was the only real project that I worked on while I was away. It was my complete trip project. I cast it on when I arrived and I cast it off shortly before I left. For 4 weeks, that's not a lot of knitting. It's an aran weight slipover, so I feel like it's not very much. But for this episode, I have 2 finished objects, and I feel like that's a lot for me. To have 2 finished objects in one episode is pretty incredible. So I'm going to show you those things. I also have a few other exciting things to share with you and chat with you about later on in the episode, so stay tuned for that. But starting with the knitting, I guess I should start with what I'm wearing, because right now I'm wearing a very special finished object, my first one, and that is my So Faded. I did not finish it. Sorry if there are cars driving by. I hope it's not disturbing to you, or wind chimes chiming, or birds chirping, or anything. I have the window cracked. I might need to close it if there's it's a person in a car ringing a bell out their window. Oh, it's a trash collector. I see. It's like a giant yellow truck, and there's a man with a bell, as you can hear, out the window, and there's a ton of trash in his truck, which is honestly a little bit annoying right now as I'm trying to record, but it's okay. It's interesting. I've never seen them do this before, but my husband told me that this happens sometimes. So anyway, I have my first finished object, which is this one, the So Faded. I didn't finish it before I left, but I finished it just a couple of days after getting back home to Germany. I had one more sleeve to do, and this sleeve knit up so quickly. And I'm really, really, really pleased with the results. So I'm going to stand up a little bit so you can kind of see it better. We'll see. This is it. My So Faded, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. You'll see my little overalls are a little bit, not super well, but there it is. I don't know. I will try to post something on Instagram and Ravelry, kind of an update picture of the finished object. I'm not really good at that. I really am not, but I'm trying to get better at it. So I'm going to try to do that. This is, I think, the very first finished object on my Make 9 2021 board, which, if you're not familiar, the Make 9 2021 MAL is a make-along that Amy of Noble Character Crafts hosts, and she's hosted it this whole year, and it goes the whole year of 2021. And you have 9 items that you kind of start out on a little vision board, on a little board, and you try to knit all those things or make all those things or finish all those projects. And I had a very ambitious 9 this year. I've never done it before, but it's been inspiring to have kind of a vision of what I want to complete and what I want to make. and I'm really happy to have this one done. So my first item for my Make 9, my So Faded, I'm really, really pleased with it. There are a couple things which I guess, not regret would be the wrong word, but you see, okay, so I faded here a little bit and it's not at the most flattering spot, as you can tell. I have these amazing brown corduroy overalls, which I will wear with this, and you can't even tell, but it's kind of like in an awkward, around my bust in an awkward place, I feel. I'm not gonna go back and change anything though, because at this point I don't need to. It's just a cool, funky, lovely kind of transitional sweater for me. I think it's okay. Also, I knit it a little bit too long for my liking. It's all the way down like here, and I would have rather had it hit like a little bit here, like on my natural waist. I think I would have preferred that, but it's okay. It's still cool. And the last thing which I'm complaining about, which isn't really a complaint, and I think I actually might go back and change this because it's such an easy fix. And I think with this change, I will wear this with even more joy than I already do. I already like really love to wear this. This is like the third time I've worn this since finishing it. But the sleeve length, first of all, there are different lengths. I did not pay good attention to that. I think it happens to the best of us, but I just didn't pay good attention. I knit too long on the second one. But you see, this is kind of like right at my elbow, which I'm not a big fan of. And this one's kind of, it's like a little bit shorter, but I don't know. I think I'd rather them go a little bit longer on my arm. I think that would be a little bit better for me, and I have enough yarn for that. So I might try that, but we'll see. I'm happy with it. I knit this out of a Homespun House hand-dyed yarn, a very special one-of-a-kind colorway, and some minis that are from a few years ago that were a gift from my husband. And if you don't know, he wrote Molly of Homespun House and asked her to dye something special inspired by Anne of Green Gables, which is my favorite childhood book. And she did that. She came up with this beautiful, beautiful colorway. This is the perfect project for me to showcase that. I feel like it's my Anne of Green Gables So Faded Pullover, and I'm absolutely in love with it. The other color I used for this one is, I think, Rome sock yarn, I think it's called. And it's just a plain solid kind of bluish color. And I loved it. It was kind of a stash busting little project for me in that way. And in this way, because I've been holding on to these little mini skeins in this Homespun House skein for so long. And I just never knew what to knit up with that beautiful yarn, and now I feel like I have the perfect project. So it makes me feel just really, cool in this sweater. It's a little funky, it's like wild and colorful. So I'm really pleased with it. And that's my first finished object of the episode. And it's nice to have it done because I feel like I've been talking about this project for ages. And it's just nice to have it finished. And it's also the perfect sweater for this time of year, in this kind of transitional season, because it's kind of chilly out, but it's not cold, it's not warm, and it's just the perfect kind of little sweater for this time of year. So I'm really, really happy with that. Now, the next finished object I have to show you is my trip project, and that is the slip over that I showed on my Little America episode. Here it is. It is a slip over vest, whatever you want to call it. In German, it's pull under, I always think of when I say the word pull under. My German viewers are gonna don't make fun of my accent or my pronunciation. It's not the best German accent. Although I've been told that my accent's not the worst either. But my little slip over vest. And here it is. I'm really, really pleased with the results of this. And I really it just lived up exactly to what I wanted and exactly to my expectation. And I feel like it's rare that anything does that in life, whether it be knitting and creating and cooking, in any facet of life. I think things don't always turn out how you expect them, and you can't really expect things because it's always gonna, in my experience, it rarely is how you expect it. Not that it's worse, but it's often just different. But this is exactly what I hoped and dreamed and expected from this project, and I'm happy with it. This is it. It is the vest number 2 pattern by My Favorite Things. I will, of course, link everything below in the description box, in the show notes, all of the patterns, the yarns, everything, and there are also timestamps below. I should have said that before, but if you want to skip around and find something specific or skip over something, you can feel free to do that below. This is my little vest number 2, and the pattern calls for, I think, DK weight and lace weight yarn held double, like mohair and a DK weight yarn, I think. And I wanted to knit something a little different. I wanted to use aran weight yarn, and I saw that a couple of projects, some people had done that. I will link the example that really inspired me below, the Ravelry page that really inspired me, but one amazing girl did this really cool out of aran weight yarn version of the vest, and it just looked super cool, and I kind of like this idea of having a vest that's a little bit more rustic, because I have this shirt dress that I like to wear, and even like a clean, basic, very basic white t-shirt with a kind of more rustic vest. I just think the combination is really cool. Maybe one day I'll reknit it in the DK and mohair. I do love mohair, and I do love that texture, but I just wanted something with like rustic yarn. So I chose this yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners. It's their, what is it called? It's their Jacobs Aran fleece yarn. It's like the Jacobs Aran weight yarn that they have. And it's the shade black brown, I think, or brown black. And it's a very lovely yarn. I've never knit with this before, but it's very affordable, which is so good. I love it. I really think I want to knit a full sweater, like a real aran sweater out of this yarn at some point, because it's just so hardy and so strong and so warm. And I can imagine it would just be the absolute perfect yarn for a real like aran sweater, you know, like with beautiful cables and just a really big cozy sweater. So that's my vest number 2. And actually, while I was in the States, I checked out a few knitting books from the library in the town where my mother lives, and I was so inspired by looking through patterns and reading about different techniques. Here, it's kind of hard to check out knitting books, and also to get your hands on knitting books in general. I'd have to order them, which I do very gladly. But I just checked out quite a few from the library and read so much. I read about Fair history. I got Alice Starmore's book on aran knitting and read all about aran technique. And I have to get some of these books. Like, I have to buy some of them because I really loved some of the patterns and loved, you know, just as reference books for knitting too. But I just saw all these beautiful, like, aran patterns in just the traditional, undyed, kind of cream undyed color. And I really would love in this exact yarn in their kind of undyed or, I don't know, lighter colorway to make an aran weight sweater out of that. So that's kind of what I've been inspired by. But I'm really happy with this. I will hopefully wear it soon, and so you can see how it looks on. It's funny because I've worn it a couple of times now, and my husband Nick is kind of a little unsure about seeing me in this. He's not yet used to it, and I think it's really funny. I think I was like, do you not like it? And he's like, it's not that I don't like it, it's someone else's outfit. It's not like your outfit or something. And I don't know if anyone else has ever had this from a partner who like kind of speaks into your life when they see you in a new kind of style or something. I don't even think it's a new style. I've never worn a slip over or a vest before. So it's definitely new for me. But for him, I think it's a little bit more masculine than he's used to seeing me dress. Like the cut is very masculine. And I'm wearing it over dresses and over feminine clothes, but I think usually a pretty feminine style. So I think he's just getting used to it, which was really funny and made me laugh when he was just like, looked at me, kind of like took a double take, and I could just see in his eyes, he wasn't the biggest fan of it. So I'll just wear it when he's not home or like when I like go somewhere else where he's not around. Because I think it's funny, he just doesn't, I don't know, he's not used to seeing me in it yet. We'll see if he gets used to it or if he doesn't. But it is definitely a masculine style. You know, it's inspired by traditional menswear, it says in the pattern, and it looks like kind of like the stereotypical like your grandfather's vest kind of a thing, especially in this rustic yarn. I think the rustic yarn makes it even more like that. I think if I had done it in the kind of mohair and DK yarn, it would have been a little bit softer and a little bit more feminine, but this is definitely very, very masculine looking. But I really like it. It kind of reminds me like of a professor's sweater or like a professor's vest or something. And, you know, if I can get some kind of cool, fantastical identity to like attach to the sweater and give it kind of a story, I'm even more excited to wear it and even more inspired by it. So yeah, that's my second finished object. I'm very, very happy with it. I knit the ribbing all on size US 7 needles and the body on US 8. I don't know what that is in millimeters. I don't know. So I used Haya bamboo needles, which I absolutely loved working with. It was so fun to use bamboo needles. Also, knit this primarily in continental. At the end, I kind of just switched over to English because I'm way faster knitting English. And it's just so much more intuitive and natural for me to knit English style. But I tried to use this as a project where to practice my continental knitting and also to kind of give my right arm a rest. Because I sometimes can get a little bit of like discomfort in my elbow or in my arm, and I don't want to overwork it, so I'm trying to give it a rest with continental. And so I'm kind of trying when I'm doing stockinette projects that are just kind of like these kind of projects, or even maybe in the future when I do another stockinette sock, I want to try to do it mostly in continental knitting. I want to knit it in continental style, but yeah, for other things, I like to do English, and I feel like I have a lot more control and a lot more, like my gauge and my tension is much more even when I'm knitting English, but you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think it also turned out pretty well considering that I knit it in continental. The last thing about this, which I wanted to share with you, was that I tried a brand new blocking technique for this sweater. For this, I blocked it. For my So Faded, I blocked it like I soaked in water and threw it in a spin cycle in the dry washer and then like let it dry on towels. Like I usually would do that for most knitting projects. But this one I tried steam blocking it with an iron, which I'm sure many of you already know how to do that and what that entails. But for me, that was completely new. I had heard about it first from Marie Wallen on an Instagram video a few months ago. And the way she described it, I was like, wow, that's such an interesting thing. I've never even heard of that before. I've never done it. I had only heard of blocking, like soaking your knitting and then letting it dry, or using a steamer. Like I had heard of using a steamer, but never this kind of with an iron, using an iron. So I was really curious about it. And then I read more about it in the books that I checked out from the library. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to try that on this vest project. So what I did, in case you're curious or you've never heard of it, is I took some tea towels, some clean tea towels. You could also use a sheet, I read, or just any kind of cloth. And I got them wet and damp and I wrung them out and then I laid them on top of the sweater. I first pinned out the sweater, you know, to the measurements I wanted, to the size I wanted. And then I just, you know, I didn't pin it up very far, just a little bit. And I then laid the cloths on the vest and then I started to iron it. Not like traditional ironing, like I didn't put any pressure on it. I kind of just held the iron above and slowly like ironed over it to let it steam through the garment and kind of block the garment. And I just kept slowly, very lightly, like no pressure, lightly kind of just steaming over the wet dishcloths until they were basically dry. And when they were dry, I took the dishcloths off. I let it sit there for a while. I felt like it maybe wasn't all the way dry yet. I wasn't sure, but I felt like the water that sunk into the wool, I wasn't sure if it was completely gone. So I let it sit for quite a while and then unpinned it, and it was beautifully blocked. Beautifully blocked. I was just amazed at it. It looks so nice. I feel like it's so nicely blocked. So that's my new favorite technique for blocking. The only thing about it is that it takes a long time. It took me so long. I don't know if that's just me, if I'm doing it wrong, but it took me so long. I think it took over an hour to block this for sure. Maybe even 2 hours, I don't know. But it was just so much fun to do, actually. It was kind of relaxing. So I really enjoyed it. And that was my little venture into steam blocking with an iron. And I don't have a steam iron. I have a very old secondhand traditional iron, which it has like a little sprayer at the top, but it's not like a steam iron or something. It's just a plain iron. And when I had first heard about this technique, I thought like it needs to be one of these really beautiful, nice steam irons, like with these amazing steam functions and stuff. But I think it's not necessary at all. It can be any iron. It's just these basically using white dishcloths worked. So that was my really exciting little venture into a new blocking technique. And I would love to hear what your favorite blocking technique is, what you like to do if you switch it up depending on the project that you're working on or the you know, kind of qualities of the wool you're using. I think it's very interesting to see what kind of results you get. I've also heard that some people don't ever block and they don't like to block at all in any way after they knit something. And I don't really block my socks, although I will be blocking these gift socks that I'm knitting, partially because they're like lace, but also partially because I think they'll just look so much better blocked. But regular socks, I never block, ever. And I don't have sock blockers, but I don't block them anyway. But I really think blocking makes the biggest difference for a garment like this here. Like it looks so beautiful, I think. And before it didn't look as uniform and as kind of clean. Yeah, that's my second finished object. Now, before I move on to my works in progress, I'm gonna get a sip of tea from my cup, which today I have a beautiful tea, which is strawberry cheesecake flavor. And I love these teas. They're so good. I feel like I think people either love them or hate them. They're kind of like these dessert teas, but it tastes just like strawberry cheesecake. And look at that beautiful pink color. Can you see how beautiful pink that is? And they have these like blueberry muffin ones and apple pie ones, and they all taste so good. And I love those kinds of things. My husband always says that it's the American in me that loves it, because when we go to the States, he's always like, what are all these flavors? Like, there are all kinds of crazy flavors. And like last time we were there, I don't know if anyone has tried this, but there are like cotton candy grapes. And he was just amazed at the fact that there were cotton candy flavored grapes, which I feel like it does sound like a pretty American thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but this kind of extra flavor, extra sauce, extra whipped cream on top kind of thing is kind of like the more the better is a very American thing. I hope it's not offensive at all, but I think it's a little bit true. Not everyone, you can generalize, but I see that in myself, and he always makes fun of me and says that's the American in me. But I mean, you know, the more the merrier, the more the better. I love sweets, I love delicious things, so I enjoy it. But anyway, my works in progress. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my Cornish cream tea socks. Speaking of delicious things, this is just a delicious pattern, and I've shown it to you a few times before, so you already know them, but I'm still so in love with these socks. These socks are just a completely new experience for me. I feel like pattern socks are now going to be a part of my repertoire just consistently in the foreseeable future, because I just love them. I finished the first sock. I didn't bring these with me to the States, so I came home and needed to finish some of the toe. I wasn't sure how long the foot needed to be either. So I got the shoe size of the person who I'm knitting it for, knitting these socks for, and I hope they're not too small, but I'm going to block them out anyway. And so I think they'll be able to go a little bit bigger anyway if they need to be. But yeah, here they are, my Cornish cream tea socks. I have the first one finished, working on the second one. Haven't really started the second one yet, but it's coming, and I have no sock fatigue with these socks at all. Like I said, I'm just so inspired by the pattern, so inspired by the lace and the cables. It propels me forward, and it's just so special to see such an intricate pattern on socks. So here they are, my Cornish cream tea socks. I am knitting these with Regia cashmere premium yarn in the colorway Pink Parfait, or Parfait Pink I saw somewhere, but I think it's Pink Parfait, and I said that before, so I'm going to stick with it. Pink Parfait, you'll be able to find it if you're looking for it. Yeah, it's really, I love the colorway, I love the pattern combination. This is just to me the most ladylike, elegant kind of sock pattern I've ever seen, and I'm enjoying it so much. So this is how it's looking so far. I feel like it's just a very aesthetically pleasing, thrilling, beautiful pattern for a pair of socks. Something so, you know, you wear it on your feet, but to have something so special to wear on your feet is just a real treat. So I'm hoping that the giftee enjoys these. I'm sure she will. And the last thing about them too is that the toe, I have never done this exact toe construction. It was a little bit new for me. I really liked it, and I love the roundedness that it gave. But on the Kitchener, I made a mistake in the last two stitches. So I'm hoping that that's not too obvious. You can see it. It's glaring when you see it like this. And if you're a knitter, it's very glaring. It does not look very neat, and it does not look very tidy. But because it is a sock, and because I'm going to block it, and because I'm giving it to someone who's not a knitter, who's just going to enjoy them to wear on her feet and to keep her feet warm, I think it's okay that it's a little bit clumsy there at the end. I don't know what I did wrong. I think I wasn't paying attention, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think it compromises the wearability of the socks either. I think if anything, it makes it a little stronger, because I ended up weaving in the ends a little bit like more tightly kind of there, or I don't know. We'll see, but I think it's okay. So that's my very first sock. You'll see more of these because I am going to knit the second one, but hopefully they don't take as long as the first one. I guess I got distracted on the first one. I didn't knit them very fast, but It's okay. That happens. I'm enjoying them. That's all that matters. And speaking of socks, I'm really excited because I've been keeping up with Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast a lot on Instagram and obviously on her podcast, and seeing her preparation and just hearing all the news and the buzz around her summer sock camp has really inspired me to participate. So I'm definitely going to be participating in her summer sock camp in June and July this year, and just using that amazing knit along as an opportunity to knit all the socks and maybe try out some new techniques and try out some new patterns. And I've just, after, every time I see her post about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's yarn that I want to knit with. There are patterns I want to try. There are techniques I want to try. And I feel like June and July are just the perfect months for sock knitting. They really, really are, because I don't know, that's when it starts to get warm. That's when it starts to be like, I want to work less on garments and more on just little small projects. So I'm really excited to participate in that knit along. And if you don't know about the summer sock camp or Kay or her amazing podcast, Crazy Sock Lady, I will link that below, because she's just so much fun to watch and really just an absolute joy to see. So yeah, all that will be linked below too. But I'm excited for that. And this sock project is being held in my special little project bag that my mother-in-law sewed for me, this little kind of origami sock bag. It's keeping my little sock project perfectly safe. Everything's held wonderfully in there. It's really the perfect size for a sock, and it's fun to carry along. I could even knit while walking with this, which is really cool. And yeah, I love it. I love to have a little portable bag. So that's my first work in progress. The next work in progress I have to show you is a very special one that I'm sure many of you are anticipating because I've talked a lot about this. And that is my Elizabeth I sweater pullover. Oh my gosh, it's finally here. I finally cast it on. If you're not familiar, I'm hosting a knit along with two other podcasters, Bella of the 100 Acre Wool podcast and Sophie of the Becca Creations podcast. We're hosting it along the entire year of 2021 to knit patterns from Alice Starmore, the Tudor Roses book. This book right here, Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore. This is an amazing book. I feel like a benchmark, iconic book for knitting, and it's really, really beautiful. It has beautiful patterns of all kinds in it, a lot of garments, but there's also an accessory, I think, or two in here, which are just all super beautiful and intricate and inspired by women of the Tudor dynasty. So if you have heard of this book and have always wanted to knit something, or you're interested, you should absolutely join this knit along, which has been going and is going to continue running for the whole entire year. So I would love to see your projects. Speaking of the Tudor Roses knit along and my casting on, in honor of my casting on, I am going to be hosting the first little giveaway in this knit along, and that's this little cast on giveaway. So I will share those prizes with you in a moment after I show you my sweater. So look forward to that. So I'm knitting the Elizabeth I pattern first, but it's probably one of the easiest patterns in the book, I would say. One of the most simple patterns in the book. Not to say that it's not extremely elegant and extremely intricate in certain parts as far as the look of the garment, but it's very, very simple and doable as well. I think pretty much anyone can knit this. You knit purl, there's a little bit of cabling, but everything is so well written, and Alice Starmore, just her patterns are so easy to follow and so easy to understand. So if you have any knitting experience and you're interested in knitting this garment, I think you could do it. I really do. I think it's really doable. And having started it, I can say from experience, it really is doable, very intuitive. So the first thing I did was obviously knit a swatch. I had a bad history of not knitting swatches for projects, but obviously for a project like this, swatching is very important, and I loved to do it. It was very fun. I'm trying to see it as kind of a part of the experience of knitting any garment that I knit, to knit a swatch, and also enjoying that process, getting to know the yarn through that process of swatching, and also kind of obviously my tension through that process. So I did knit this little swatch, and here it is, my little swatch using the beautiful Virtual Yarns that I was very graciously sent by Virtual Yarns, this beautiful Hebridean 2-ply yarn in the colorway Machair. And I loved getting to know the colorway and getting to know the yarn through this swatch. I blocked this swatch very, very lightly, doing that same exact steam method that I did with my vest. And that was honestly really cool. It was also actually, I tried the steam blocking method first with this before I did it with my whole entire vest, just because it was a smaller surface and I wasn't sure if it would take a really long time or how that was, but I really enjoyed it. So this project is definitely also going to be blocked very lightly that way as well. And I only needed to knit one because I got gauge right away. I thought, I think the pattern calls for a very slightly different needle size than the one I'm using. I'm using 2.75 millimeter needles, so US 2s. And I don't know, I think the pattern might be a little bit different, but I calculated that a little bit in my assumption of what my gauge would be, and I was right. It's really cool when you start to kind of get to know your gauge enough to kind of make a guess before you knit the swatch, to know, okay, am I going to be getting that gauge exactly? Do I knit a little bit tighter usually, or a little bit looser? And then, it saves you a lot of time in your experience. So the more experience you have knitting, the more you get to know your tendencies, and I feel like end up being more efficient too, which is a lot of fun. But I got gauge right away and was very pleased with that. And I went right ahead and started to cast on my Elizabeth I. So this is the yarn all balled up. I had made a post on Instagram talking about how I hand wind all of my balls, or I even cake them up sometimes using, something round and making like a center pull ball. But oh my gosh, how I admire and envy a little bit those of you who have these automatic or these yarn swifts and ball winders. What an amazing thing to have. I hope one day when I have space and the ability, I can't wait to get one of those because time will be saved. Not that it's that difficult. It didn't take that long to wind up a ball. It doesn't take that long, but sometimes you just want to get knitting, But I'm trying to see each time that I, ball up a skein of yarn, I try to see that as part of the process too. Relaxing, kind of pause. If you're working on a more complicated project, it really is like a pause to be able to do that. But, I'm trying to enjoy that process because it's also part of the process. It's not just, all about knitting. The other part is also fun and important. And I feel like being a spinner, you have to do a lot more of those kinds of things. So, especially if you're spinning with a drop spindle and you have to do really mostly everything by hand. So I kind of try to see that as a part of the process. But anyway, I digress here. I cast on my project. I'm knitting the size M, medium, the second size that is in the pattern. And oh my gosh, here's what I have so far. Look at that. Oh my gosh, you can hardly see, but this at the bottom is the band, the bottom band. And then, I'm up here. I have a few more, I think a little bit left before I start to be able to do this V kind of in the front of the pattern, which I will post a picture of the pattern and how it looks, a photo of it here, so you can see. But I'm just knitting the bottom and it's so much fun. I've already started some of the shaping and you can see that the darts have begun. I don't know if you can really tell. Yeah, probably next week you'll be able to see more of the progress that I made. But oh my gosh, I'm just absolutely in love with this pattern. It's so much fun to knit. It really is so intuitive, and I've just begun, and let's be honest, this part is very simple, but even still, doing the shaping is really exciting and really fun, and it's just, for me, right exactly in this moment what I need, the perfect balance between, something a little bit more intricate and something very relaxing and almost mindless. I do a bit of counting, a little bit of row counting, but it's not super, super, involved that I have to be paying attention completely to the pattern every row, like my clover pattern, which I have to pay a lot of attention to. But I've really, really enjoyed it so far, and I'm just so excited to continue to see this knit up and to see it grow and to be able to wear it when it's done. Oh my gosh. And this is the second project actually that I'm working on for my Make 9 2021 Make Long board. You can see the beautiful colorway shining through this Machair yarn. Oh my gosh, I'm just in love. I of course will link the yarn below as well, where you can order it, and the book, everything's below as well. So this is so much fun. It's such a joy to be knitting on this, and also has been so inspiring to me to kind of reread and re-listen to and relearn about Elizabeth's life, Queen Elizabeth I's life, she was just an amazing queen, an amazing monarch. and an amazing woman in history. So I've really, really been enjoying kind of restudying her life and learning about her life. And even in this book, Alice Starmore wrote a little bit about her and how this pattern was inspired, because in kind of public, especially as she got older, she wore very elaborate, almost otherworldly, like crazy outfits and crazy, like beautifully intricate gowns and pieces. And then in private, she was very simply dressed, and she spent a lot of time studying and learning, and just the complexity of her character, how she presented herself outwardly to the world and to her kingdom and to her people, but then also how she was really in private. It's just an interesting thing to learn about, and interesting to learn about who she was. I think that that's reflected a lot in this pattern too, the intricacy, but also the simplicity of the design and of the pattern and of the sweater. So I'm just enjoying every single moment that I get to knit on this. It's really, really fun. So that's my Elizabeth I. Oh, the other thing to show you is these little stitch markers. I have 2 more, but these are little lapis lazuli stitch markers that I treated myself to, especially in honor of this pattern, because I've talked about this before, but I feel like beautiful stitch markers are really like little jewelry for your knitting, and it's really special to have pretty, I feel like very natural. I like these pretty natural stitch markers, especially for this pattern. So I was really excited to order these from an Etsy shop, which is a very special Etsy shop because it is also run and owned by another podcaster. About a month ago or so, I discovered an amazing German podcaster named Fränze, who is also living in Germany. She's German, she speaks German, it's a German language podcast, and she knits beautiful things and makes beautiful things, but she also hand dyes yarn using a lot of natural dyes, and she has beautiful colorways. And she also makes stitch markers. So I made a little order from her for these stitch markers and also some yarn, which I'm very excited to share with you too. And I am just so pleased with them. I think that they go so well with this colorway, this Machair colorway, and these little lapis lazuli stones, just they complement each other so well. So I really love them. And if you are a German speaker and you're interested, or if you maybe took high school German or want to kind of brush up on it, you should definitely check out her podcast. I'll leave it linked below as well. That's Fränze, whose podcast is called Mitgarn, and the Etsy shop is also Mitgarn, which I will leave below linked as well. Speaking of the giveaway and all of those things, in honor of my first casting on the Elizabeth I, I have a couple of things to share with you. And the first one I will share with you is the yarn that I ordered from Fränze from Mitgarn. And that is this beautiful yarn, which is a natural dyed yarn. The name is Öko-Tante Nummer 2, which is like organic ant number 2 almost. You could translate it exactly, which is very, very cute and very funny. And if you know German, maybe you'll be laughing with me at it because I think it's very cute and very sweet as a name. The colorway is this beautiful yellow golden colorway. You can see it, it's super beautiful. And the yarn is 80% merino wool, 20% silk, superwash. It's a superwash yarn. And it's dyed using, oh my gosh, Studentenblume, Zwiebelschale, Kapp. It's using onion peels, marigold, and madder. Those are the 3 things it's used to dye, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's this beautiful variegated kind of tonal shade, and it's just so stunning. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to keep it, or I want to get more for myself, but I didn't get it right away. I'm definitely going to at some point though order some yarn for myself from her because it's just so beautiful. But I thought for this giveaway it would be nice to give something that's kind of a little bit local to me, something really special, and I think this hand-dyed yarn from Mitgarn, from Fränze, is really special. So there it is. I hope you enjoy, whoever wins. And the next giveaway prize that I have, which is absolutely so special, is from another podcaster and another amazing Etsy shop owner, and that is Amy of Noble Character Crafts. So when I was in America, Amy wrote me on Instagram and got in touch with me and offered very, very generously to send me 2 project bags. And I was so touched and so honored that she'd think of me. because I just admire her so much. I love her podcast. I love all that she makes and she knits. And if you have not yet watched her podcast, you most definitely should. She's just one of the most peaceful, lovely, relaxing, comforting kind of watches for me. She's just always so joyful and so full of light and so full of love. And you just really, I feel like it feels like catching up with an old friend when I sit there and I get to watch one of her podcasts. It always just makes my day. So I always look forward to watching her. And she makes beautiful project bags for her Etsy shop as well. So I was just so excited when she wrote me and just so honored that she would offer to send me a project bag. So she told me that I could keep one and I could give one away. So I'm very, very excited. I mean, I cannot and could not decide which one to keep because they're just both so beautiful. So I'm going to show you them right now. These are the two project bags she sent me, which are absolutely beautiful floral designs. I'll show you one at a time so you can see them better. But this is the first one. It's this beautiful white, purple, very beautiful kind of light purple, lilacs, darker purples, floral design with white and this beautiful denim fabric. I think this is such a beautiful design. This combination, just perfect for spring and summer and just absolutely beautiful. So I love this one so much. I think it's so cute and I think it would be perfect for any number of projects. I also really love the size of these bags. I think they're just a beautiful size for holding also any kind of project. It could hold shawls or a sweater. I think I'm definitely going to use mine to hold my sweater project just because I think it's the perfect size for a sweater. But I mean, obviously you could hold anything in here. It's just a beautiful size. And here's her logo. It's a beautiful little leather tag. I think it looks so lovely. And I think her logo is so precious. Here it is, Noble Character Crafts. And the inside is this super, super sweet purple and white polka dot fabric. She also has an amazing pocket in there, which is really nice and big. You could hold your notions in this pocket. She's included a couple of little teas in there. And another amazing little feature that she has in her project bags are these little kind of hooks with little stitch markers as well, which is so cute and such an amazing, sweet thing. I think this is so cool and just so lovely to have this little hook with the stitch markers. Also because I feel like I always lose my stitch markers in anywhere. Like I feel like they fall to the bottom of the basket or anywhere that I use them. So to have a little place to hold the stitch markers is really, really valuable to me. So I'm really excited about this. And these stitch markers are just so cute. So I am absolutely in awe of these project bags. I think they're so beautiful. And I'm sure that the winner of one of these is just gonna get so much enjoyment out of them as well because it's just so special and so beautiful. So this is the first one. And the second one is also really, really beautiful. Also a beautiful floral design. And that is this black one. I see it's a beautiful black floral design. I love this one too. It has this kind of roses and all these different flowers. And the kind of strap on this one is a little bit of different in color. It's a bit more beige. The other one's a little bit more white and matches this. And I think this one's also really, really pretty. You can see that beautiful design. I think it's also perfect for summer, winter. I mean, summer and spring, but I mean, for all year long, it's beautiful. I just love this kind of like fresh, lively fabric choice. And the inside is also really, really cool and really special. It's this really cool kind of metallic gold and green fabric, which is really, really sweet. It's these polka dots too. And this other beautiful pocket with some lovely tea and also the same thing, this little clasp. And this clasp is a kind of a bronze color with these precious little stitch markers, these bronze stitch markers that match the clasp. It's just such a cool idea and such an amazing little feature. I feel like that's really, really something special and something unusual. So I'm super excited about these bags. I cannot wait to share one with you. And it's been so hard to decide which one I'm going to keep because I just think that they're both so beautiful and I can imagine so many of my own projects in both of these bags, but I think I've decided to keep this one because it was very hard for me to decide. Honestly, I thought too much about it. I feel like it's a little bit selfish, but they're just both so, so beautiful. And yeah, I love them both. So I hope you'll enjoy one of these project bags. One of you who is the lucky winner. In order to enter this cast on Tudor Rose giveaway, you can post a picture of your project, your cast on, any part of far along you are, doesn't matter how far along you are, just post a picture under the hashtag Tudor Rose KAL on Instagram. Then you're automatically in the running for winning one of these project bags. And in a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I'll post the date below that I will select. I will select a winner, get in touch with you, and then you can give me your information, you can win the prize. And then in order to win the other prize, you can post in my Ravelry group under the Tudor Rose KAL thread, and there you will also automatically be entered to win. I'll leave the link below to my Tudor Rose thread and to my Ravelry group, and on Instagram you can find that under the hashtag Tudor Rose KAL. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about sharing that with you. And I hope that you'll go check out these amazing makers as well. And yeah, show them some love because these are just such beautiful, beautiful things. I think that's all I have to share with you this episode. But before I go, I wanted to mention a couple podcasts that I've really been enjoying lately. And I thought, actually there are quite a few that I wanted to mention, but I thought I'd mention a few every couple of episodes because it's really fun to share the love. And I feel like a lot of people are now almost like friends for me in this community. And I've really loved this community and it's meant so much to me. So I thought I'd share with you a couple other podcasters that I've really enjoyed. There are so many that I've enjoyed, but I will mention more later. And I'm always looking for new podcasts to watch. I'm sure you are too. You can never have enough. So maybe they're new for you. And if they're not new for you, then I'm sure we just both share in enjoying these people. But obviously, all the people I mentioned previously are amazing. 3 other ones who I really enjoyed are Karina Marie Handmade. If you've not watched Karina Marie Handmade, you are missing out. She is such an amazing podcaster. She's relatively new. I think she has now 5 episodes with a couple of other videos thrown in. I took a little pause because she was moving, but her podcast is so professional and she is just such a fun personality. It's so fun to watch her. I feel like she always puts a smile on my face. It's always fun to just catch up with her projects, and just who she is just fun to watch. So you should definitely check her out. She's also a spinner. And honestly, every time I watch her podcast, I'm just so inspired to spin because her spinning projects are just out of this world gorgeous. Her yarn is stunning. And the art bats she uses, the roving she uses, she just has a beautiful taste in colors. She just makes beautiful, colorful things. And I'm always so inspired by her. So Karina Marie Handmade, you should definitely check out. I just adore her. And the next person who I wanted to mention, and who actually also mentioned me recently, and who I was so honored to hear my name come out of her mouth because she's just so beautiful and so lovely and such a joy to watch, is Alexandra of the Fiberbound podcast. She has been podcasting also for, I don't think, it's not super long, but definitely for a couple of months now. And honestly, her podcast is just such a breath of fresh air. I always love when I see her pop up. It's always so much fun to watch her. She's got such a soothing presence and just a beautiful voice to listen to, honestly, too. When I hear her talk and hear her talk about her projects, she's just a beautiful voice. And she makes beautiful things of all kinds for herself and also for family members. And I just think she has such a generous, loving spirit. And watching her just makes my day. So if you don't know Alexandra, you should most definitely check out her podcast and follow her and see what she's up to because she's just a wonderful person. And she often says that she feels like other knitters are kind of like her friends. And she's talked about that before. And I feel the same exact way. I feel like these people who I mentioned, and also many of you, even who we've just had little chats in the comments, I feel like we have this amazing community where we're also friends. So it's so special. So the last person who I wanted to mention, the third person today, is Priscilla Purl of the Lavender Pearl podcast. I don't know if she's really a podcast. She makes amazing videos on YouTube talking about her knits. She has videos on different garments she's knit and different accessories. And she knits a lot of patterns, both modern, but also vintage, and a lot of vintage inspired patterns. And I just love watching her videos. They're just really, really cute and just an experience to watch. She models her garments so beautifully, so elegantly, and it's really like you're being transported a little bit with her aesthetic. And I'm always so inspired by her projects. If you've not ever watched The Lavender Pearl, you should definitely go check out her channel too. So those are the 3 that I'm going to mention today. More to come. I am so thankful to have this community of people, and it's always just an honor to be able to be in touch with you all and to communicate with you all about knitting and to just be in conversation. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I hope that you will leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already if you did enjoy. I hope to see you again soon at my next episode. I'm going to try to get back now into recording weekly as I was before. Just get back in the swing of things. It's sometimes hard after a trip, but I'm working on it. I'm getting back. I also have one more video to edit and upload from my time in America, which is a little peek into my mom and my conversation about crafting a little bit and art. So I'm hoping to edit that soon. Anyway, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. Very, very happy knitting, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.